welcome to another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. It's your host, Adrian, my man, G Witt. What's up, G?
Tighten up, baby. Tighten up.
Tighten up, man.
Hey,
Welcome
man.
back. It's we here toward the end of the 2 weeks, end of the month here for August, and September 14th is right around the corner. We did get a little taste of football yesterday with college football kicked off with Austin Peay and Central Arkansas. Yeah. If you got a chance to see some of that, or you could have been watching some of the replays of Patriots and Titans in the playoffs, which was a good to see a replay of that and see some of the things that went on in that game, man. So
absolutely,
we right around the corner, man, and not a lot of word coming out of camp. Vrabel's gotten to that mode of I guess getting ready for week one, but he's not letting a lot out. But we'll talk tonight about some things that's on the table for this football team for 2020.
Absolutely. Vrabel is getting into his Belichickian mode. He's not putting out any kind of information whatsoever. And really, normally this time of year, they begin ready for the last preseason game.
Right.
It's basically, for lack of it's the end of training camp officially. Because generally after this week, they go into preparation for game mode and everything. Again, the difference this year is that we haven't seen anybody.
Right.
All we have to go on are the one-on-one battles we get to see on when the Titans host training camp, and also when the local media posts pictures via Twitter or Facebook to give us a glimpse into what's going on in practice. But other than that, not a whole lot of information coming out of Titans camp, which I'm not overly concerned about, but I know a lot of people they get a little perturbed when they don't get all the information they want.
Right. I mean, you can understand that because of the situation that is. This is the first time we've experienced to where there's no information at all being shared. To an extent, we're not being able to see the preseason practices or preseason games. And, everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know what this football team is going to be in 2020 after a strong run to finish off last season. Can the momentum carry over? And that's one thing I want to talk about tonight, Grover, is outside of Tannehill and Derrick Henry on offense and A.J. Brown, who is that next person to step up? Who is that next playmaker that's going to step up for this offense when those guys aren't delivering like they would normally do?
Well, and that's going to be the whole key for the offense. I mean, let's look at the offense. You want to look at the offense as a whole?
Yeah, let's go offense first.
Okay, well, as we look at this offense, again, we got Tannehill who's going to be back. We got a good glimpse good look at him last season. He played 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw some things. We saw some trends a lot of things we liked. We saw some things that we didn't like. But overall, you see where he's a very capable quarterback, and he fits this offense extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything else with him, they're both predicated on each other. He's predicating on people gearing up to stop Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry is gearing up on people being able to slow Ryan Tannehill down with the passing game. You got A.J. Brown. You got Corey Davis, who's in the last year of his contract. So he's coming with a different mindset, probably the same mindset in all honesty. I think Corey Davis is a great player. He just has some unfortunate luck, and being chosen 5th overall has not helped his cause any.
Right.
The other thing, Jonnu Smith, I think people are overlooking him. Now, let me be real about it. The media is overlooking him. The NFL is not. The NFL recognizes Jonnu Smith as one of those players who's actually very scary when he gets the ball in his hand. If we go back and look at that Kansas City game last year, and you go back and look at the great catch he made against Baltimore. I mean, Kansas City game, he caught an 8-yard pass, and we needed 13, and he ended up getting 18 yards.
Right.
Because he was able to overpower the DBs and actually break some tackles and get the extra yardage out of it. So the tight end position for us is going to be real important. Michael Pruitt, Anthony Firkser, I think those are going to be your next playmakers. I think everybody else is just going to fall in line. And, again, it's all going to be predicated on if this offensive line holds up the way we think it should.
That's exactly right. And, for the first time, let me say this first before we go any further. So, it was a big story, right? It came out this week about the Titans canceling practice on Thursday, and rightfully so. And not only that, but they canceled the basketball games because of the injustice that we're witnessing on African American males from the police. And one thing that really troubled me is the so-called, I'm gonna do this, air quotes, Titans fans getting upset because the team canceled practice, and they were saying they were gonna burn a paraphernalia and not go to more games and not watch them on TV. And I mean, why would they not understand that this is an issue that's bigger than a football team, bigger than a practice, bigger than a basketball game? And so I just want to put that out there, Grover, just to bring it up, man, because it really bothered me to see that folks don't realize how serious of a situation this is when your life is literally put on the line daily because of the color of your skin. So,
okay, so I'm gonna make I'll make this comment, and really, this is really, when you think about it, Eddie, it's the only way to look at it. It's hard for those who have never been oppressed, or I should say, it's easy for those who've never been oppressed to disregard the plight of the oppressed.
That's correct.
And basically what I mean is that if you've never had to deal with the situations that people are having to deal with in this country.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, America's a good country, a lot of freedoms, and we all know that. We all know that. Nobody's disregarding that at all. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that happen in this country that we all have to agree are totally wrong. Right. I don't care who you are.
That's right.
I mean, and I will guarantee you like this: if the roles were reversed, there would be a bigger uproar than what you're seeing right now. So that's my statement for all of this. It's easy for those who've never been oppressed to disregard the plight of the oppressed.
And and some people might not like us bringing it up on this show, but it's our show, and if you don't like it, then I guess.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And here's what you got to look at. We bring it up because it was pertinent towards the Titans, and we've always been focused on the Titans. And again, I always look at it from the standpoint of those who have a hard time with this, dealing with this and everything. And if they're going to talk about burning their jerseys, then I'm questioning their sanity, because they paid money for those jerseys. So basically what you're telling me is that you're going to burn your money. So that's what I don't get. Now that's some logic that just defies. That's some things that just totally defies logic. But if that's what you want to do, you're free to do so. You're free to say whatever you want to say. You can disagree with me or disagree with us all you want to. Fine and good. That's your prerogative, just like it's our prerogative to say what we want to say and support the Titans and what they're doing. And again, that's my stance on it. I don't back away from it. I support the Titans and what they did. I support those in sports for what they did, because mainly what they want to do is make sure attention is brought to the situation that's going on. And if you can't understand that, then okay, fine and good.
Right. But if you're one of the ones that are complaining or doing these things, then maybe there's a problem with you. Maybe there's something going on with you. Maybe there is a hidden section in your heart that is filled with hatred and racism. And, look at it that way. If you don't like it, then there might be a problem with you.
Let's remember one thing. All those people who were having those lynches on Sunday afternoon were in church Sunday morning.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Back in the day.
That's
I'm just saying. A lot of them were deacons in the church and everything. So
that's right.
Let's just be real about it. And we know, and just so everybody would know, in case you didn't know, we're both believers in Christ, and we know that even Jesus had Judas, and even we know that the church is always going to be filled with those who really aren't for Christ. Everybody who goes to church isn't for Christ. So And again, we could go on and on about this.
Yeah,
but
we can go on, but we're gonna
it's
get
better
back
for
to
us
the
to get
scheduled
back to
program. Just had to
football.
put that out there, let
Yeah,
everybody know
but
where we stand.
so that's fine. I got no problem with it. Like I said before, it's easy for those who've never been oppressed to disregard the plight of the oppressed.
So as we go back to talking about the Titans, and I appreciate that segment there, Grover, a lot. It means a lot to me. We have kicking competition. Can you believe it? There is kicking competition at Baptist or St. Thomas Sports Park. And it's amazing because of what was the stat? 8 of 18 field goal attempts. And, not having a consistent kicker last season that, if you really think about it, cost us probably 1, 2, maybe even 3 games.
Well, we know it cost us one.
Game. Yeah, I think about the Buffalo game. I think about the Indianapolis Colts game. Yeah. And, that's 2 right there. That's 11-win season because of field goals. So it's good. Tucker McCann is putting the pressure on Greg Joseph and to the fact that, Greg might not make the team.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to disagree with you. That's not a good thing. And the reason why is because you want to have that kicking game locked in before the end of camp. Let's be real about it. It's just like you bring in a punter to go against Brett Kern. You don't hear nothing about the punter because Brett Kern is going to take that job.
Oh yeah.
So we don't want this kicking battle in training camp at all. I mean, granted we've been getting the updates on it, and the truth be known, they're both kicking about approximately the same percentage. They're making about the same percentage, which is in camp has been like in the high 80s.
Right.
But the fact that they're looking at, the word is out, they're bringing in a couple of old veterans to take a look at them is just not a good thing. Again, like I said, you want to have this kicking battle sold up. You don't want to be going through this, especially after the fiasco we had last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy about the kicking battle, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm really not, because it's not something you want to have. You want to have that locked in.
Yeah, you do. Taylor said he been working out. He just saying. So we might have another one.
I don't know if Taylor can get enough lift in that leg. But
oh man, so much going on, man. Like you said, 2 weeks away from opening night in Denver against the Broncos, Mile High Stadium, in that thin atmosphere. Hard to go out there and play. Second of a doubleheader that night. And, you keep hearing about the one-on-one battles and how the receivers and the DBs are balanced. But also you hear now, as we talked about last week, the defense is starting to get the better of the offense.
Yeah. And again, these things happen, but let's be real about it. What the problem you have, and this is for those, again, I always say this, for those who hate preseason games, this is one of the reasons why you want to have them, because after a while, when you keep going against the same person all the time, you get used to them, you know what they're going to do.
That's right.
And you're able to adjust to what, you've been practicing on for 3 weeks.
Right.
Whereas if you get a preseason game, you're getting different players. Now you really get to see how well these guys play. I mean, are they really shutting people down and really being able to stop them, or are they just being able to stop the guys in practice because they've been practicing against them so much? The problem we got right now is how well are the receivers and the DBs really pushing one another in these one-on-one drills? How hard is it, really? I mean, because that's the one thing that you got to ask yourself. Great players on both sides of the ball will help each other be better. Mm-hmm. The question we got to ask is how hard are they pushing one another? Are they making it extremely hard on the receivers, making it hard on the DBs making it hard on the receivers? And that we don't know.
Right, and you keep hearing about Khalif Raymond, man. Khalif Raymond is beating DBs. He's getting open. He's running good routes. He's making catches, and so he like I said last week, he's making his stake for number 4 and possibly number 3. You never know. You never know on that depth chart, and that's good though. We need another guy to step up and be that playmaker, and with his speed, he can take the top off the defense. That's which we'll need and
Yeah.
keep people from trying to put 10 in the box and playing 5 to 10 yards deep with their safeties instead of playing back at 15, 20 yards.
Right. And one of the things Kalif Raymond has said that he definitely wanted to work on this season was the fact that he wanted to show his route running ability, again, to be an added weapon along to take that fourth spot with Tajaé Sharpe had. The only problem you have with Kalif Raymond really in that regard is the fact of his size. You know, but there's going to be times where if his route running is good enough, he may take some snaps away from Adam Humphries. You never know. Because of his speed and being able to get out and get down the field, which is what he showed last year. Now, it's going to be different this year because teams are going to be prepared for him. You know, let's be honest about it. He was a training camp darling around the league. Never really got into games until last year. Now, when he got into games last year, and to his credit, when it came time to make plays, big catches, he made them. So everybody's going to know about him this year. Everybody's going to be prepared for him. So we're going to see how he does now with people knowing who he is. And again, with him, it opens up opportunities when you put him out on the field for other receivers to get open as well. But we talked about this. The biggest issue for our receivers, they've got to get open. They've got to get open, and Tannehill's got to get the ball to him.
He's got to get the ball to him. They got to make the catches. They got to make the tough catches because all the balls are not going to be right at their hands, not right at the chest. It's going to be high and low. You've got to make those tough catches, and you've got to win those one-on-one battles, as we mentioned. Also this past week they signed Will Compton back. He played here a couple years ago, played 12 games with the Titans. A little depth at linebacker and also some special teams help brought him in. And so, guys familiar with the system. So, again, provide depth for the depth chart at the linebacker position and special teams help.
Well, okay. I'm going to say this about, and I like Will Compton, don't get me wrong. But with Will Compton, you're getting a veteran with the speed similar to what we had with Wesley Woodyard last year. Granted, Will Compton, Jonathan Joseph, you're basically replacing the same players that you let go as free agents this year. Right. What we got to be hoping for is that we don't need to use Will Compton that much, and the only reason I say that is because, Jayon Brown and Rashad Evans, they are good at run stopping, but they're also pretty good in the short passing game as far as coverage is concerned. We know that one of Wesley Woodyard's weaknesses last year was when he got caught up in the passing game. He just was not good in coverage, and not his fault. I mean, the speed of the game is what the difference was. Same thing with Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan made good plays in coverage based on his experience as a DB and everything and his knowledge. But at the same time, if he had to be out there too long, guys had enough speed, they was going to get away from him. Right. So, that's my whole thing right now. Jonathan Joseph is the same way. Great knowledge, knows the game, able to do a lot of different things. But we also know that he lacks speed. And what we need in that position and all across the board on that defense is definitely more speed and good quality play. But David Long Jr. is back. He showed some good flashes last year. Roberson is back. He also showed some good flashes. So we're just going to see how – and hopefully Walker comes through and plays well.
Yep. And so we got some comments, Grover, I want to get up and talk about. So Taylor talks about they've been throwing it to Derek here in the red zone in practice. And so we kind of talked about that last couple weeks, actually, that he spent a lot of time working on his hands. And you see him getting more balls thrown to him so far in camp. And he looks like he has been working a great deal on his hands, been catching the ball real well. Kevin Stone, welcome to the show, Kevin. Kevin says Vic Beasley isn't getting any good attention, and that's correct because he's not getting any attention. As we talked about last week, is that Vrabel is just like Belichick and Bill Parcells. Those guys, that's the same tree. I only talk about the people that practice.
That's it.
He's not practicing, then he's not gonna get any attention. And so we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Of course, Vrabel's tight-lipped about what goes on in the inner workings of the team. But hopefully he'll pass his physical and he'll be ready in 2 weeks to be starting opposite of Harold Landry on the edge.
Yeah, and I'll be the first one to say it concerns me because again, you and I, we talked about it before. We was hoping we was gonna get the Vic Beasley of the Super Bowl year with the Falcons with 15 sacks and everything, but now we really just don't know what we're gonna get. So that's the only concern I have. With him now. With Derrick Henry, I know another thing they were doing with Derrick Henry was also working on his over-the-shoulder catches as well, trying to improve his catch radius. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Derrick Henry will catch a ball, but you got to throw him a catchable ball. Right. He's not gonna go out. He's not gonna make those wild catches, one-hand catches, or things that is just not in him. And but he is improving on that. You saw improvement last year, and you will probably see some improvement this year because he did show a tape where he was working on it and everything. So, and I know they're working with him on that. So that's going to make him more viable in being a 3-down back, which is what you really want because you want him on that third down, third and short, third and long, where people have still got to honor his ability to actually break a tackle and get on the long run on a third and long. You may have a third and 11. He can easily run for 12 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards. So that's another weapon on the field. You got to have that because we don't know what Darrynton Evans is going to bring. He's a rookie.
Right, and you saw glimpses of that last year when he would catch those screen passes, and in one particular, he almost scored against the Patriots in the playoff game. He took one to the house against Cleveland, and so he can do it. He's capable of catching the ball. But there was a great point you said that you have to throw him a ball right at his chest in his catch radius, and that's why they're working on expanding that. Got some more comments, Grover. How is Jeffrey Simmons looking? From Clyde. Thanks, Clyde, for your question. So, Clyde, I'm gonna tell you, every so often during the week they show a live feed from the Titans practice, and they probably won't be doing it so much now because they're getting ready for week 1. But if you see Jeffrey Simmons out there, he is dominating the line of scrimmage, and even double team blocks, definitely one-on-one blocks. He's been putting linemen in the backfield. They can't double team him, and so we're seeing a 100% healthy Jeffrey Simmons. What we've talked about since we drafted him last year, saying if this kid is 100%, watch out. And watch out is what it is right now.
Yeah.
So you might see, and I don't like to make this comparison, but this is what I'm thinking, that he's going to be a Albert Haynesworth type player. When Albert was playing for his contract, before Albert got that money, Albert was probably the best defensive tackle in the league.
Yeah.
Or none.
Yeah.
We got the potential to have that type of player again out of Jeffries.
Yeah. Well, with Jeffries, you got a chance. I always say this. What we have in Jeffries and again, not to try to put any kind of pressure or anything like that, I think we got a good our version of Aaron Donald. We got somebody who's in the middle who can absolutely dominate a game and dominate the line of scrimmage. Jeffrey Simmons is emerging as one of the leaders on that defense, and he's doing a lot of leading by example. He is being vocal, but he's doing a lot of leading by example according to the reports that we've been getting. And like you said, double teams are not really helping on him, and his lateral quickness is back. He's able to move side to side, whereas last year he wasn't able to do that because of that brace. So it's going to be interesting to watch him play and to watch this defensive line because we've been hearing good things about Murchison. Yep. We also been hearing good thing about the man from Atlanta, Daquan Jones. Yeah, Daquan Jones has been playing well. So, again, it goes back to what we said a few weeks ago. We are hoping that with this defensive line that we have, with all the players, we finally heard some good news about Isaiah Mack making some plays and everything. With this defensive line that we got, what we're hoping is that we'll get a natural pass rush out of them, meaning we're getting that pressure up the middle, which is going to help people like Harold Landry and whoever's going to be playing on the opposite side of them get to the quarterback a lot quicker.
Clyde also says he wants to see Derek Roberson get some good time on the field as well, and I think there's a potential for Mr. Roberson. Mr. Roberson he's having a solid camp so far, and we saw last year he flashed some plays when he got the opportunity to play, and so that might be another Sharif Finch before Sharif Finch got hurt, as we talked before, as finding that diamond in the rough undrafted guy and contributing to this football team. But initially he'll probably have more special teams looks because of Beasley and Landry potentially being those pair on the field. But you got Correa. There's a lot of depth at outside linebacker, more than what we originally thought this team was going to have going into this offseason.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is Mr. Roberson would probably get some playing time more than what we may think. He first of all, as you said, an undrafted rookie. He's got a year of playing under his belt. He didn't play the whole season last year, but he did get to play towards the end of the season. He also got to play a lot in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So he's that just speaks volumes, really, on a player's development in the NFL. When you get to play in the regular season and then you get to play a couple of games in the playoffs, you see the speed of the game, and you also see what your weaknesses are, and you can work on those things to try to get better. So let's remember Mr. Roberson, when he played in college, I think he led his conference in sacks.
He did.
So he has the ability to get there. And again, like you said, with the outside, I don't know where Vic Beasley is right now, and I'm like what we said, Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick. We worry about the guys who are practicing, so I'm looking forward to seeing Mr. Walker get out there on the opposite side of Harold Landry and make some plays. And that's all I care about. Whoever gets on the field, you got to make plays.
Taylor says, Casey, who and Philip, I don't want to mess up your name, so I'm not going to even try to say it, but he wants to know if we're going to land Clowney. And Philip, thank you for joining the show, man. Thank you for coming. We made a law, I'm going to say a law, a rule that we're not going to talk about Clowney, because right now Mr. Clowney acts like he don't want to play this year in 2020. And so until it happens, we want to talk about it. And because my man over there, Grover, G. Witt, he gets excited when we talk about Clowney. So we'll just leave it. Thank you for the comment, man. Appreciate it. Keep them coming, the questions.
Absolutely.
Jabbar says, Daquan, if he makes it through injury free, him and Simmons be a 1-2 punch on that line. And you need some dogs on that front line. You need a third, if that's Isaiah Mack or Murchison, whoever, Jack Crawford in this case. We need some hard-nosed guys that can penetrate and get pressure on that pocket and make that quarterback get outside that pocket and force him to Harold Landry.
And that's the whole thing. I mean, that's really I know Daquan Jones, before he got hurt a couple of years ago, he was doing a great job getting to the quarterback up the middle. Right. Exactly. We're going to miss Mr. Casey. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Definitely. But also we've seen this defense play without him. And we know that defensive line can be in pretty good shape. But somebody, like you said, somebody's going to have to emerge. Somebody's going to come through, and I'm hoping it's going to be Daquan Jones and Murchison and Mack. I hope all of them come through. Jeffrey Simmons. Just like I said, getting that pass rush up the middle, something we've lacked over the past few years. Jarrell Casey has always done a good job of getting to the quarterback. But, again, a lot of times what you see with Jarrell Casey, he is mainly almost like he's an outside. Even though he's inside, he comes from the outside to the quarterback and doesn't necessarily come straight up the middle, whereas we need somebody who's going to be able to come straight up the middle and get to the quarterback to stop them from stepping up in the middle of the pocket.
Yeah, he played more of a five technique position than Jarrell Casey. And so, like you said, he was more that not the interior pressure, but more the edge pressure from the outside. Clyde also says, are there any rookie draft picks making any noise? So, from what we've been reading, Darrynton Evans has been they're really impressed with his speed, his quickness. He's got a lot of explosion. Showing some good hands. Kristen Fulton is actually playing pretty well in practice, coverage-wise. His man coverage is really good, they were mentioning. And so those two. And then Isaiah Wilson. Isaiah Wilson, he's doing okay. He's got some if you were able to see some of the video when they shoot live from practice, he's still a little bit too high. He needs to bend a little bit more. He's a big guy. It's hard to bend. He could get away with that in college because he could out-muscle people. But now you in the big league, and there's guys that just as big or just as strong as you are a lot faster. So he's gonna have to work on bending them hips and getting that flexibility. So
well, yeah, you're exactly right. His hip, he's got to get on as far as dropping his hips and everything to get in a good position. Now, he did on one clip show his strength. They would run the blocking drill, and
he probably got in trouble too, didn't
he? He just threw him. so here, again, with Isaiah Wilson, and we said this about all the rookies, they're going to be worked into the season. Whether we see them a lot at the beginning, we don't know, but we do know that they will be worked into the season because, they want Christian Fulton in there because he gives you that speed at the nickel position. They have him in training camp practicing the nickel position. He's coachable. So is Isaiah Wilson. They both are coachable. Both tend to learn from their mistakes and not do them twice in a row. Right. So that's what you want to see. And you want to see them be able to get in games, get that in-game experience, and get that growth in the first half. So when it comes to the second half, like what we saw players last year with David Long Jr., with Roberson coming into the game and actually making good plays, understanding what's going on and being in the mix.
Right. and not to mention that Christian Fulton, he's a good sized cornerback, 6 foot, 195 pounds or whatever it might be as far as his weight. But a big guy, he's physical. He played that man coverage at LSU, and so sky's the limit for him if he continues to develop, just like we've been hearing. And so Deion says he thinks the young guys like Roberson, Walker, Mack, Murchison will be hungry, ready to step up. He expects a lot of pick your poison from the front seven. Good point, Deion. Very good point. If we could get those young guys to play at a high level to contribute to this defensive front, this front seven, man, I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be scary to watch and shore up our other DB on the other side of the field. Because Adoree', if anybody hadn't been noticing, Adoree' is balling right now in camp. He is picked up where he left off in the playoffs. Physical, in your face coverage, making good plays, reading, making good breaks on the ball, and he's progressing as we thought he would. After last season at the performance that he put on in the playoffs, in particular, I keep saying the playoffs because he really stepped his game up to another level in the playoffs, which I thought was great for this team.
And remember, he missed quite a few games in the second half of the season with a foot injury. Right. So he came back just in time for the playoffs, got in shape, and again, we saw. If you watched the game last night, the replay of the New England game, you saw his worth and his value in that. Yeah. And tomorrow night they're going to show the Baltimore game on Channel 2. Right. And if you watch that, you'll see him again. Yeah, there were some plays made on him, but overall, he was playing lights out. And the thing about him, Vrabel talked about him, again, a guy like Adoree' Jackson, loaded with talent. He's talent. He's athletic. He can do a lot of different things. But as I've heard the world famous Greg Cosell, talent will get you there, but skills, technique will keep you there. And that's what Adoree' has been having to work on, is his technique. And you see where he's improving on that, positioning, being physical, and just doing an overall good job of coverage. And the question for me again, and I'm not gonna lay off of this because we saw it his first year here with us, Malcolm Butler. How is his technique? We know he's physical, and we know he has decent speed, but the question is going to be, how's his technique? Does he stay in front of the receivers, or is he turning the wrong way and letting the receiver get behind him?
Right. And so a couple more comments. Taylor says how well the young players do depends on the development they get from the coaching and the scheme. It's a great point, Taylor. We talked to that in detail and in depth over the past few weeks about how this training camp was a lot different than previous years because there's no live game experience. And so now the coaching and the scheme is really going to be tested to see how well they do. Rodney says we got to keep Isaiah Wilson away from TSU.
I think Mr. Wilson has learned his lesson.
Right. Jabbar says Adoree' is on a different level. Game is slowing down for him, and he's not thinking so much. And I couldn't agree more with that, Jabbar. And not to mention, we've taken they've taken the punt return duties away from him, so now he can focus on his defensive side of the football and his assignment and his coverage. And who potentially he could be matched up against the whole game, right? He could be one of those type guys that, hey, we're gonna put you on the number one and you lock him down and we take care of everybody else.
Well, you got to remember one thing about Adoree'. He's not the tallest guy out there. So, and his athletic skills, his athleticism helps him out a whole lot. But again, like they said, the main thing with Adoree' is the technique that he has to use in order to make the plays, how he uses his hands, how he positions himself on the route, reading the receivers' body language and everything to understand what's being called, and also paying attention to what's going on and knowing the coverage that you need to be in. So, again, we saw this last year. We saw him make some great plays. So we're looking forward to seeing that again this year, as well as, like I said, with Malcolm Butler. And I'm also looking forward to seeing what happens with our safeties. How many safeties are they going to keep on this team? Because, you still got, of course, you're starting Vaccaro and you're starting Kevin Byard. So who are two great safeties, a good quality tandem who are interchangeable. But you also got Dane Cruikshank, you got Amani Hooker, who will be coming back. And Amani Hooker, man, let's be honest about it. He got a lot of experience last year, and he's a smart football player. So I'm really looking forward to seeing his play this year to see how he does when he gets on the field, because he shows some great flashes of football smarts off and on throughout the entirety of the season. So that's going to be interesting.
And, that's something we talked about, Grover, during the draft and after the draft last year, is that Amani Hooker, his football smarts, his intelligence, how his coaches were praising him for that.
Yeah.
He's the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball, understands the coverages and schemes to get everybody in place. And so, season 2 for Mr. Hooker could be a great year. And, you never know, like you said, he could be the starting nickel. He could be playing a lot more, because Vaccaro is not the fastest guy in the world, and Amani Hooker might be in there on passing downs. Speaking of Vaccaro, though, man, I'm going to tell you what I like about Vaccaro.
You saw that last night, didn't you?
Vaccaro is that tone setter, man. And I'm watching that game against the Patriots, and he met Sony Michel in that hole. And I'm telling you, man, he stuck him, and he didn't move. I mean, no more yards game. No more yards game. Stopped him in his tracks in the backfield.
And that's
what you want, man. That's what you want. Your safety on your defense, the tone setter, make people fear coming across the middle, even though they can't hit them like they used to.
Right.
But still got that presence out there to say, hey, man, this guy's going to light me up if I come across that middle in his area.
Well, here's the thing you like about Vaccaro, and like you said, now his cover skills aren't the best. He isn't the quickest guy out there, but he makes a lot of plays based on his smarts. Let's be honest about it. He doesn't get a whole lot of interceptions, but the ones he gets because of his recognition of what the offense is doing and being in the right position. There were, and when you go back and look at the plays, again, last night when they showed the Patriots game and what you'll see tomorrow night when they show the Baltimore Ravens game, you'll see him standing out in those games because he makes plays with his smarts, understanding what's going on. You're right. The head knock on Sony Michel on that run play set the tone for the rest of the game as far as the defense was concerned. And then, the smart play he made towards the end of the game when the Patriots was trying to run a wheel route, but he came all the way from across the middle of the field and over the coverage to make sure it was covered. I mean, just smart football plays. So, that's what you want to see. Kevin Byard, who's a ball hawk, smart, understands the defense, quarterback of the defense, making sure everybody's getting in the right position, making sure they're doing the thing. And let's not forget, Kevin Byard is a heck of a blitzer too. I know we talked about Logan Ryan, and rightfully so, of all the blitzings that he did. And actually in his position, he helped the defense because it allowed Kevin Byard to actually stay in his natural position. But let's not forget, he knows how to get to the quarterback too, and he knows how to get him down as well. And again, as a ball hawk, he's also another tone setter because if you go back and look at some of the games that he's played in, when he's getting those interceptions and bringing them back, it flips the whole defense, flips the whole offense, and all of a sudden you see the Titans start to roll.
That's right. That's exactly.
The mayor knows what he's doing.
The mayor of Murfreesboro. That's right. So we got some more comments. Grover Taylor says, what's the news on O-line besides Wilson's, the starters, and the depth chart? So, what we've been hearing a lot of, Taylor, is Nate Davis getting a lot of attention. Nate Davis, they say he's bigger, he's more sleek. If you could be a sleek 300 pounds, him and Jeffrey Simmons are a sleek 315 pounds. But they say he's real strong. He's year two is probably going to be a great season if he keeps progressing. As far as the depth wise, you got the starting five plus Isaiah Wilson. And, you got Jamil Douglas. He's probably going to stay on the team again. He's got experience in the system from last year. Tyson Brelo, he might, they've been talking about him. And then Quisenberry is another name that keeps popping up. Outside of those 8, I don't know if they're going to keep any more than that, but we'll see.
Well, a lot of it's going to depend on guys who can play multiple positions.
Right. Like
Isaiah Wilson helps out because if let's just say if a tackle gets hurt or anything like that, he can step in at right tackle, and we can switch players around. Jamil Douglas, you need him because really he's Ben Jones's backup.
That's right.
Center and guard.
Mm-hmm.
Nate Davis, we're looking forward to big things from him, although he had a little stomach issue in practice this past week,
A little stomach.
Hey, yeah, you've been through them things. You've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
There's really nothing wrong with it. I mean, just sometimes those things happen. Guys get hot and everything because he talked about how much he's sweating. And with those smaller bottles and everything, he's not able to replenish fluids like he normally would. So, yeah, but he's slimmed down quite a bit. Again, the slimmest 300-pound man I've ever seen is Jeffrey Simmons, though. I mean, he's playing like I'm playing at 325, and this is the slimmest 325 I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm excited. I can't wait. So Deion says we got to remember Adoree' was a raw talent when they drafted him. He's just now coming into his own and starting to polish his skills. You're exactly right. Deion was more of a I'm gonna say a straight line guy. Speed, not really a lot of cover skills, and so now you see him honing his craft, if I can say that. As far as a cornerback is concerned, and being one of the top, I'm gonna say top 10 in the NFL at this point.
Well, the thing about Adoree' also is that also gets overlooked. Adoree' really is a good tackler.
He is he is.
He is a good tackler, man, and he's not afraid to mix it up and make the tackle and everything. So that's always a good thing. What Adoree' is learning is how to use his closing speed to get the ball knocked away. We saw last year his technique in closing was great. He could put his arm around it, but he never turned the guy. So even though people wanted to say it was pass interference, it really wasn't. So the referees, you get away with that. But I always go back to what we said last year. The thing that probably helped Adoree' more than anything else is when they took the special teams duties away from him, because then he got to focus completely on just being the cornerback, that one of the outside corners, which I think helped him a lot to keep him from having to do so many things. Because in all honesty, I think he was just getting nervous as far as returning punts and everything. Right. I do. I mean, he just made some decisions. He's like, okay, I think you got a little scared.
Right. Some head scratching decision. You're right. Jabbar says he thinks they found a way to have 3 safeties on the field at some point with Hooker playing some type of hybrid position as linebacker. Now, I agree with that, Jabbar. I can see that, especially playing with teams that like to do a lot of high flying passing and taking shots down the field. You want a little bit more speed in there for those linebackers. Not to say that Jayon Brown and Rashad Evans don't have the speed, because they do. We've seen that displayed on the field, but he brings in a different dynamic, coverage wise anyway to that.
Yeah. So, but
go ahead.
Go ahead.
He says we need Jamil Douglas. He never thought he'd hear those words ever. Hey, just saying because he's got the experience already with the squad. He's familiar with the schemes and the concepts, and like Grover mentioned, he's a two-way guy. He can play center guard, and he just gives you some depth if needed, either one of those positions.
Yeah, and what I was going to say, you're talking about the defense. One thing we tend to forget about mentioning is Rashad Evans, man, as far as his ability to rush the passer.
That's right.
We forget about that. He did a lot of that. And really, when he went to Alabama, that's where he started. He was, hand in the dirt, rushing the passer and everything. So you forget about it. He does have that skill set and able to get there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use the defense, especially with Dean Pease being gone. And it looks like Mr. Bowen is going to be doing the one calling the plays. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that works.
Right. We got Taylor's asking about Humphries. Is he going to return kicks? Taylor, I believe Cameron Batson and Rashad Davis will probably be the kickoff returners. My opinion now, as far as punt returns, he might be back there. I'm not really sure. But we'll see. We got those two guys that got a lot of speed and have got that experience, especially Cameron Batson. So we'll see. Not really. I don't know if they're even putting Adam Humphries back there to return kicks in practice.
I would say this, in all honesty, if they keep Rashad Davis, yeah, he'll be returning kickoffs probably. And generally, what you have happen, what they used last year, more than anything else, they used Khalif Raymond for returning punts.
Right.
So we might see that more often than anything. I think similar to Dory Jackson, they would prefer not to use Adam Humphries back there returning punts, even though he can do it. It's like what the Patriots did with Julian Edelman last year, as far as, he could return punts, but you only use them in emergency situations. You don't use him on the regular. And I think that's the way they need to be with Adam Humphries. Adam Humphries ended up being the punt returner last year because Adoree was having such a hard time. They had to put somebody back there who can make good decisions. And that's really, on punt returns, being able to make good decisions is a key.
Exactly.
You got to know when to catch the ball, when not to catch the ball. And, you can't decide I'm not going to catch it, then change your mind in the middle of the air and say, oh, yeah, I'm going for it. And that's what Adoree was doing.
You can't dance. You can't dance. You got to get up the field quickly.
As bad as he was off the field, the one thing we liked about Pac-Man is that there was no dancing with him when he was back there returning punts. It's like, I'm catching the ball.
One cut and go. That's it. That's all you get.
That's it.
You get one move and you go.
You get one move.
Jabbar says rushing the passer, blowing up the run. Rashad Evans definitely is all over the place. The goal line stands in the Packs game last night. Twice. Man, you mentioned that, man. That was excellent football between him and Jeffrey Simmons on the goal line stand. That's what you want out of your middle linebacker, right? That's what you want out of that guy that's playing your defense. And he can do it, and he showed it last year.
Look, man. Yeah, I don't get me wrong. Rashad Evans made the plays and everything. I'm not taking anything from him. But we got to talk about Mr. Simmons and Daquan Jones on that goal line stance, man.
Oh yeah, man.
Those two, especially on that last play.
Yes.
On the third down play.
Yes.
That center tried to take on Jeffrey Simmons one-on-one.
Where'd he go?
He got blew up.
That's right. Where'd he go? He was in the backfield.
He was in the backfield. And, it's just the same thing like on the second down play when Daquan Jones made his play. He blew up his man, slid down the line, and grabbed the running back, Berkson, and had him down on the ground. And again, those are the type of plays that – and let's not even talk about what you're going to see tomorrow night in the Baltimore game.
Right.
We won't even talk about that, but watch the 4th and 1s. Watch the 4th and 1s, and you'll see what we're talking about with this defensive line. And the word is going to be out, really, on us. You will see people more than likely throwing the ball more on 4th and 1 if they go against us like that on 3rd and 1, as opposed to trying to run the ball up the middle.
Right. And Deion makes a good point, and we talked about this so much last year, Grover, that I was frustrated that we talked about this because it never came to fruition. But he said, Dean Pease always used DBs for blitzes more than linebackers. Never made sense to him. And Deion, you are so right, man. I used to pull my hair out. Like, why I'm blitzing these linebackers that can run, these 4'5", 4'6" linebackers that can run and can cover a lot of field. Why are we not blitzing them? We've already got issues with our secondary covering people. And so why not blitz? Because everybody knew who was blitzing on our defense every time, Logan Ryan. Yeah. Without a doubt. You knew he was coming 9 times out of 10. So why not blitz those linebackers? Maybe we'll see that this year. We got a new inside linebacker coach. We got some new guys on defense. We got Shane Bowen. Maybe he's going to change the concept somewhat. We'll see. But we got the guys that could do it. And this, I think about those great Steelers teams that they had, those linebackers that can run, they can set the edge, they can blitz, And I'm not saying that these guys are in that mode, but I'm saying there's a building foundation for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, we got the youth, we got the speed, we got the athleticism to play that type of blitzing defense.
Yeah, I agree, and it's going to be interesting to see how or if the defense changes this year since Dean Pease is gone. Dean Pease, you know, like I always said last year, I always yielded to him because he had more knowledge as far as football was concerned. Been in the game, I haven't. You know, he's a coach. You coaching at the NFL, you're a DC, and at the highest level, and your teams have won Super Bowls. So all I'm saying is that a lot of times he did things I simply just did not understand. But I yielded to his knowledge, and I still do the same thing.
Right.
And, you know, I yield to them, but there's some things about it, like you said, not blitzing the linebackers. I'm in agreement with you. We never did that, and you just don't. Sometimes you just don't understand. Now, Logan Ryan, to his point, to his credit, was good at disguising his blitzes too.
Oh yeah.
He was very good at disguising his blitzes, and hopefully we see that from our inside linebackers who are able to disguise when they're coming and and the defensive line open a hole up for them and actually allow them to shoot the gap.
You know, and I think about you speaking of Logan Ryan. I know he's not here on the team anymore, but you mentioned his blitzing prowess. I'll say it that way. You know, I think about playing the Colts in Indianapolis and how he fooled Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he didn't even know he was coming. He didn't even see him coming. You know, but he disguised the blitz so well that he got in there untouched and made a big play to get the sack. How could I forget this, Grover? When I say this, you're going to laugh because we went to training camp. We experienced it. Will said we signed a running back, Jeremy McNichols, to use him as a punt returner. Boise State. Boise State. You remember Boise State? Me and Grover went to a practice last year, and there was this guy, he just kept saying, boy, I mean, screaming it out at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
It's because of Jeremy McNichols on the team at the time. So he's back on the squad, you know, special teams potential. And so, you know, it's good.
Well, here's the thing about Jeremy McNichols is coming back, in all honesty. Let's just be – and we got to talk about this because we hadn't mentioned it because we kind of glossed over the running back position.
Right.
But there's been some issues in training camp because we've had running backs who have not been able to participate. Sonoris Jenkins.
Yeah.
I forgot who the other one was. Yeah. Sonoris Perry, thank you. And I forgot who the other one was, but Kari Blasingame has been getting a lot of carries. Darrington Evans has been getting a lot of carries. So right now they're looking, you know, like we said before, you know there's going to be at least 3 running backs on the team. And the way it's looking right now is definitely going to be Derrick Henry, Evans, and Blasingame. We had talked about the possibility of a 4th, and that's where Jeremy McNichols may come in because, like you said, he's a decent running back, but he's also great on special teams.
Right. Right, exactly. Guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G. Witt, talking about the Titans, talking about the seasons right around the corner. You think about it, Grover, so at the end of this week, they got to make some roster moves, right? This is where you can cut down to 55 on your active roster and your 16 on your practice squad. And so a lot of things going to happen and take place this week. And, you know, the main thing is to stay healthy. The season's right around the corner. You know, I saw yesterday that Carson Wentz has got some soft tissue injuries or issues going on, potentially groin or hamstring.
Oh, that's not good.
Those things, right? Those things can linger on for a long time during the season. Yeah. And so, you know, this team's got to stay healthy and get his first game under the belt. And like you said, the first 2 weeks of the season is probably going to be the preseason. It's going to be some ugly football potentially, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what's going on.
It may not be as bad as we're thinking it's going to be. In all honesty, it just depends. Like you said, you're going against another team that you haven't been able to do all season long. So you know you're going to get your first taste of it. And the thing that's going to happen more than anything else is what we're going to see in it. And I guess it's a good thing we're going to Denver first is conditioning. How's our conditioning going to be? Going up there in that thin air in the summertime, how's that going to affect us during the game? And especially when you started getting down to the third and fourth quarter. Having oxygen on the sideline is going to be important. I'm serious because, you know how it is even in the first preseason game, how guys get hyped up and everything. They go too fast, too quick, and they run out of gas. So that's going to be the whole key right there as far as being able to your conditioning, and I know Vrabel's been pushing that a lot, saying the guys have got to get their conditioning in hand because you can't have those up and down situations where you're not playing at top level all the time.
Right, and speaking of that, when I was playing college ball, we had the opportunity to go up and play up in Boone, North Carolina, Appalachian State. Now, in that atmosphere, that environment is at a higher elevation. Excuse me. And I'm gonna tell you, man, it's different. It's different breathing at that type of altitude when you hadn't practiced in it, like you mentioned. It takes you probably about a quarter and a half to get used to it. Your lungs are burning. You feel like you're out of shape. When you say, man, I know I've been practicing and running. But Mr. Playing that environment it takes a toll on people, and it takes you a minute to get adjusted to it, like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Taylor says, is Corey Davis having a good camp? He's sure. Hope he is because he's in the contract year. Taylor, he has. As soon as he came off the
pup list, he started out the gate making catches, diving catches, running good routes. Winning battles, one-on-one battles. And so Corey Davis is having a solid camp. You wouldn't expect anything less, even if it wasn't a contract year. He's been solid in practice as a practice player and on the field. He just, hadn't had those stats to wow you as everybody would expect as a number 5 pick. But he does, overall, he's probably the best receiver overall on the football team. Blocks, he does the little things that a lot of other receivers doesn't do it like he does. Yeah, and the thing about what you want to see out of our receiving core, in all honesty, and we've been saying this, is them winning the being physical when the ball comes to them. And what I mean by that, shaking off that tight coverage and getting the ball in your hands and making the catch. One of the things we noticed about them last year was that sometimes that they were not physical enough at the point that the ball got to them, and they ended up getting basically moved out of the way of things of that nature. So that's what you want to see, because you're not going to always have clean releases off the line of scrimmage. So you're going to have to see these guys. They're going to have to be able to get off the line of scrimmage, get open, and do what they need to do.
Right. And so, one other thing, Jabbar makes a great point. He says not only the conditioning for the Denver week, but then you got a short week. You got to come back and play at home after a Monday night game and get ready for Jacksonville at the home opener. And, so it's very interesting. Next couple weeks coming up, next weekend, on the show, we'll talk about the 55-man roster, see who made it, see who didn't make it, and we'll talk about the practice squad. And we appreciate you guys, your love and support for Halftime Adjustments. It's your man Eddie Arnett, my man G Witt, another
tighten up, baby.
Live. And so again,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. We got it, man. September 14th, Monday night, Denver. Second game of a doubleheader to open up the season. It's on, man. It's on.
It's on. It's gonna be interesting.
You can smell the grass.
You can smell the grass, baby.
And you can look at our background and see if this is how the first home game is gonna be. No fans.
Exactly. No fans.
Used to that. No fans. Although you can give them your cutout, Grover. Being a season ticket holder that you are, you can get your cutout put up in your seat or somewhere in the stadium, and it'll be just like you're there.
No, it won't. No, it won't. But that's okay. I'll be watching from the tube.
Deion says he feels like his lungs, like he's in the altitude. I feel like that walking to my car in the afternoon. But then again, that's just Houston in the summer.
I know that's right.
If y'all didn't know, man, Deion is joining us from Houston, Texas, man. All the way from Texas, man. Shout out to Deion for short.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate your love, man. On every week. Always contributing to the comments and the questions, man. So really appreciate y'all supporting Halftime Adjustments. Again, I'm Eddie Arnell. It's my man G Witt. We'll be back with y'all next Sunday night, 7 p.m. Join us live. We're going to look at that 55-man roster.
That's right.
Squad and prepping for the Denver Broncos on the Monday night opener. So Halftime Adjustments, man. We out of here. Peace.